Happy July, Broncos country. It is the 250th birthday of these United States of America, and there is no more appropriate day than this one, Independence Day, Underdog Nation, the day we celebrate improbable victories against impossible odds to make the case that the Denver Broncos have officially become America's team, not by proclamation, not by slapping that label on a helmet and daring someone to argue, by receipts. Real, verifiable, staggering receipts that prove this franchise spent the 2025 season captivating the entire country in a way that no team has done since the glory days of Peyton Manning and Mile High. So let's get into it. Let's make the case properly, with the data, the viewership numbers, the jersey sales, and the story of a team that proved that this country, a nation built on underdogs, built on impossible comebacks, built on the idea that the biggest underdog can defeat the biggest favorite if they refuse to quit, still knows how to fall in love with the right football team. Start with the geographic argument, because it is genuinely striking when you look at a fan base map of the United States. The Denver Broncos cover more physical square mileage of American territory than any other NFL franchise. Orange dominates the West. Orange runs through the mountain states. Orange bleeds into the plains. When you account for the fact that Denver sits in the center of an enormous stretch of the country that has no competing NFL franchise for hundreds of miles in any direction, the raw geographic footprint of Broncos country is the largest of any team in the league. That is not nothing. Fan bases in markets like New York and Chicago have density on their side. The Broncos have breadth, and in a league where national relevance is determined partly by how many different zip codes are tuned in on Sunday afternoon, broad geographic reach is a real competitive advantage for where this franchise sits in the consciousness of the American sports fan. But the geographic argument is just the beginning. The real case for America's team status is built on what happened on television screens across this country every single time the Denver Broncos played a meaningful game in 2025. Because the numbers are not just good, they are historic. Let's go through them. Week 5, Denver at Philadelphia. The Broncos walk into Lincoln Financial Field, the defending Super Bowl champions' home stadium, and win. A game nobody expected them to win. The viewership number for that CBS single-header, 19.6 million. The best single-header number on CBS since 2013. Since 2013. 12 years of NFL football, and the Broncos walking into Philly and winning produced the best viewership number in over a decade for that window. That is not a coincidence. That is a country that looked at the schedule, saw an underdog team going on the road against the defending champions, and decided to watch. Week 7. Denver hosts the Giants in the game where the Broncos honored the late Demaryius Thomas with a legendary comeback fourth quarter. 26.4 million viewers. The most watched Week 7 single-header on any network since 2015. 10 years. The most watched Week 8 game that season? Denver's blowout of the Dallas Cowboys, drawing numbers that made it the most watched program of its week on any network in the entire country. Not just football, any network, any program. The Denver Broncos blowing out Dallas on a Sunday afternoon was more watched than anything else on American television that day. Week 11. Denver versus Kansas City. Mahomes, Kelsey. One last chapter of what turned out to be the final season of the greatest dynasty in modern NFL history, and the Broncos delivered the knockout punch with a walk-off Will Lutz field goal. 29.89 million viewers. The fifth most watched regular season game of the entire 2025 NFL season, in a year when the NFL averaged its highest regular season viewership since 1989. And then Christmas night, Amazon Prime Video, the Broncos and the Chiefs again, a 21 million viewer record for the Thursday night football package since Amazon took over the exclusive streaming rights. Record-setting. On Christmas night. because the country wanted to watch the Broncos finish the job against a dynasty that was finally, definitively ending, and then the playoffs. And then the number that genuinely stops you in your tracks and makes you realize that what Denver built in 2025 was something the country had not seen in a very long time. Divisional round, Broncos versus Bills. 33-30, overtime, Will Lutz drilling a 47-yarder to send Denver to its first AFC championship game in a decade. 39.6 million viewers on average. Peak viewership during that overtime period, 51.3 million. The most watched Saturday sports telecast since the 1994 Winter Olympics. Read that again. Since 1994. 31 years. The Denver Broncos in a playoff game generated the largest Saturday television audience in over 3 decades of American sports broadcasting. The most watched Saturday afternoon telecast in the history of United States television. That is not a regional story. That is not a Colorado story. That is an American story. And it was written by a team that started the year with $85 million in dead cap money to a quarterback playing for another franchise who somehow still competed every week, still played hard, still found ways to win. The jersey sales tell the same story in a different currency. Bo Nix just appeared on the Infilpa's year-end top 50 player sales list for the period from March 2025 through February 2026, landing just outside the top 10 overall. The quarterbacks ahead of him, Josh Allen at number 1, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, are either MVPs, Super Bowl winners, or top 5 picks generating massive hype. Nix, the player who was mocked in the pre-draft process, who was overlooked, who was underestimated at every stop of his career from Oregon State to Oregon to the NFL, is the 8th best-selling quarterback in the entire league. A year ago, he was 11th in jersey sales among quarterbacks. He moved up 3 spots in one season. He has sold merchandise at a top 10 rate during a year when he broke his ankle in the playoffs. That trajectory does not happen unless a country is buying in. That trajectory does not happen unless Broncos country has expanded well beyond the borders of Colorado. And then there is the underdog story itself, because this is the part that matters for what America's team actually means. The Dallas Cowboys got that label because they were dominant, glamorous, and universally known. The New England Patriots held it through sheer force of winning. But neither of those teams ever did what the Denver Broncos did in 2025, compete for a Super Bowl while absorbing the largest dead cap penalty in NFL history and doing it with a rookie quarterback who everyone said was not good enough to do it. $85 million paid to Russell Wilson to play somewhere else. $85 million. And yet Sean Payton walked into that situation, convinced a locker room full of question marks to play hard every single week, turned Bo Nix from a punchline into a bona fide franchise quarterback, built one of the best defenses in the AFC, and delivered this franchise its first division title in years and its deepest playoff run in a decade. That is not glamour. That is grit. And America recognizes grit. Patrick Surtain II is the best cornerback in football. The defense was genuinely elite, top 3 in the AFS, limiting explosive plays, stopping the run, creating turnovers at a rate that changed games. Courtland Sutton had the best season of his career and reminded everyone why he was once considered one of the top receivers in the conference. Will Lutz was the most clutch kicker in a postseason that absolutely needed one. And Bo Nix, coming back from his ankle surgery, working through the offseason with the full fire of someone who watched the AFC Championship game from the sideline in a boot while his backup tried to hold the wall, is going to come back in 2026 with something to prove that very few quarterbacks in recent memory have had. He was on the doorstep. He knows exactly how close it was. And he is not done. The 2026 Denver Broncos opened the NFL season on Monday Night Football, the entire league's Monday night opener, the game that kicks off the new season for every fan base in the country. That does not happen because Roger Goodell is doing the Broncos a favor. That happens because the ratings say this team is must-see television. That happens because the country watched 39.6 million viewers in the playoffs and said, "We want more of that." The NFL puts its most compelling product in its best windows. Denver is in the best window because Denver earned it. America has a new team. The evidence is overwhelming. The viewership numbers are historic. The jersey sales are top 10. The geographic footprint is the largest in the league. The story is the most American story in the sport, a team that absorbed an impossible financial penalty, stayed competitive through it anyway, found a quarterback everyone counted out, and nearly made a Super Bowl doing it. That is the United States of America on a football field. That is what this holiday celebrates. Happy 4th of July, Broncos country. Here's to 250 more. And here's to bringing the Lombardi back to Denver where it belongs. Let's go Broncos. Mile high salute. If you are not subscribed, fix that right now. Hit subscribe, smash the like, and drop a comment below with your favorite 4th of July tradition. And while you are down there, tell us, do you believe the 2026 Broncos make the Super Bowl with a healthy Bo Nix? Yes or no? We want to know where Broncos country stands. See you on the next one.